Imagine a world without the sun, not for a night, but for months, maybe even years. A world plunged into an endless, biting twilight, where the sky is a blanket of ash and every breath is a struggle against the cold. This isn't science fiction. This is the story of our ancient ancestors, who faced one of the greatest survival challenges in human history. The volcanic winter, around 74,000 years ago, a supervolcano named Toba, in what is now Indonesia, erupted with a force thousands of times more powerful than any volcano in recorded history. It didn't just shake the earth. It changed the world. A colossal plume of ash and sulfur dioxide shot into the stratosphere, forming a dense veil that wrapped around the entire planet, blocking out the sun's life-giving rays. For the small, scattered bands of early humans, the world they knew vanished overnight. The vibrant greens of the landscape faded to a monotonous, deathly gray. Temperatures plummeted, triggering a volcanic winter that may have lasted for a decade. The sun, their clock, their source of warmth, their god, was gone. Let's put ourselves in their shoes, or rather, their bare feet. You are part of a small tribe, perhaps no more than a few dozen people. Your name is something we'll never know, but your instincts are the same as ours. To live, to protect your family. One day, the sky darkens unnaturally. It's not a storm cloud. It's a creeping, suffocating smog that blots out the sun. A fine, gritty ash begins to fall, coating everything in a pale dust. It gets into your eyes, your lungs, and the water you drink. Panic begins to bubble in the pit of your stomach. Days turn into a perpetual dusk. The familiar rhythms of life are shattered. Hunting becomes a desperate gamble in the gloom. The animals you rely on, weakened and disoriented, either die off or migrate to unknown territories. Your usual landmarks are obscured by a layer of gray snow-like ash. Every foray from the safety of your cave or rudimentary shelter is a life-or-death mission. You can't see predators until they are terrifyingly close. A wrong step could mean a broken leg, a death sentence in this unforgiving world. The plants, the very foundation of the food chain, begin to wither and die without sunlight. The berries, roots, and tubers that supplement your diet and provide essential nutrients become scarce. The women of the tribe, the expert foragers, return with emptier and emptier baskets. The children, usually full of energy, grow quiet and listless, their bellies aching with a hunger that nuts and dried meat can't fully satisfy. The elders, the keepers of knowledge, have no stories or wisdom for a world without a sun. They look to the sky with a mixture of fear and despair. And then there's the cold, a deep, penetrating cold that seeps into your bones. The global temperature drop was significant, possibly by as much as 15 degrees Celsius in some regions. Your animide cloaks feel flimsy against the relentless chill. Fire becomes the absolute center of your existence. It's not just for warmth and cooking. It's your only source of light in the crushing darkness. It's a beacon of hope, a circle of community in a world that has turned hostile. The struggle to keep the fire alive is constant. Wood, already damp from the lack of sun, becomes a precious resource. Every piece must be gathered, dried, and rationed. If the fire goes out, the cold and the darkness will claim you. The responsibility of the firekeeper becomes the most sacred duty in the tribe. This period, known as the Toba catastrophe theory, is a topic of intense debate among scientists. Some believe it created a genetic bottleneck, a near-extinction event that reduced the entire human population to just a few thousand individuals. Imagine that. Every single person alive today could be a descendant of that small, hardy group of survivors who endured the long night. So, how did they do it? How did our ancestors survive when everything was stacked against them? They didn't have advanced technology or written language, but they had something incredibly powerful: ingenuity, community, and an unbreakable will to live. They adapted. They would have learned to hunt in the low-light conditions, relying more on their hearing and sense of smell. They might have developed new trapping techniques or turned to new food sources they had previously ignored, like insects or hardy lichens. The crisis would have forced them to become more innovative than ever before. This is where we see the spark of human genius. Perhaps they improved their tools, creating finer spear points to make every hunt more successful. Maybe they developed better ways to preserve food, smoking, or drying meat to last through the lean times. And crucially, they relied on each other. In this dark world, the tribe was everything. They shared food, even when it was barely enough. They huddled together for warmth, the body heat of the group, a vital resource. They shared stories around the fire, not just to pass the time, but to maintain Nihav morale, to remind each other of a world with sunlight, and to teach the young the skills they would need to survive. Cooperation wasn't a choice. It was the only way. Those who tried to go it alone would have perished quickly. The social bonds, the very fabric of human society, were forged and strengthened in this crucible of darkness. Think of the psychological toll. Living in constant twilight, never feeling the sun's warmth on your skin, would be incredibly taxing. Depression and despair would have been as dangerous as any predator. But our ancestors endured. They found reasons to keep going. A newborn's cry, a successful hunt, a moment of shared laughter around the fire. These small victories would have been monumental. They held on to the hope that one day the sun would return, and eventually it did. Slowly, painstakingly, the ash began to settle. The veil in the sky thinned. One day, a faint, watery light broke through the gloom. Can you imagine that moment? The first time they saw a clear sunrise after years of darkness. It must have been a moment of profound, almost religious awe. The warmth on their skin, the return of color to the world, it would have felt like a rebirth. The survivors of the Toba catastrophe were not the same people who entered it. They were tougher, smarter, and more resilient. They had been tested by the planet itself and had not been broken. The lessons learned during that long winter of innovation, cooperation, and sheer endurance were passed down through generations. These skills would have given them a competitive edge, allowing them to expand and repopulate the Earth as a new, more adaptable species. This incredible story of survival is encoded in our very DNA. It's a testament to the strength of the human spirit. When faced with a global catastrophe that blotted out the sun, our ancestors didn't just lie down and die. They fought, they adapted, they innovated, and they survived together. They endured the darkest of winters so that we, their descendants, Karado Wande Wokuzasan. It's a humbling reminder that our existence is a product of incredible perseverance against unimaginable odds. So next time you feel the sun on your face, take a moment to appreciate it. It's a gift that our ancestors fought tooth and nail for, in a world without light. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey back in time. If you found this story as fascinating as I do, please hit that like button and consider subscribing for more stories about our incredible human past. Let me know in the comments what you think. Could you have survived the volcanic winter? Until next time, stay curious.